Hey guys, alright, so for week 8, go ahead and turn to your foundations guide, page 161. Should look like this. And the way you want to start each week is by, again, saying your expectations. Remember, put your tin whistle in front of you or wherever you've instructed them to do it and let them know if they pick it up, touch it, blow in it, whatever it is. Let them know what will happen. So always start off that week, set them up for success. And then the very next thing you want to do is review. Okay? So if you look on page 161, obviously they have your grammar and vocabulary. Take note of that to know your vocabulary words that you need to drill. And then number 1, it says begin by reviewing the vocabulary from the first week. So always just start off reviewing. So one thing that you could start off with is say, talk about a cacophony. Ask them what that is versus being harmonized. Have them verbalize that to you. The next thing you would want to do is go ahead and go over the parts of the tin whistle again. Point to each part. Ask them what that is. Have them answer you with that. And then the last thing you kind of want to review that will help you go right into the lesson is the vocabulary word we learned last week, which is staff, because we're going to build right on top of that with this lesson, and you'll see how. So what you want to do is either use this small whiteboard, maybe if they're sitting close to you and they can see. If not, I usually use my big whiteboard so I can draw lots of things on there. But for the video's sake, I'll just use this small board. And so what you want to do is draw a rectangle. It's going to be really bad. And then what I do is I just draw one right down the middle, and then I cut that in half, and then just do a better job than that. And then ask them what this is that we learned last week, and the answer is staff. And then just leave that there because we have things that we have to write for the lesson. So you'll see that number 2 says to use the staff paper provided. If you look in your foundations guide behind the music, there's just blank pieces of staff paper. You don't need to copy that and have them practice that. I have already put that in the packet that I made, the tin whistle packet. We are going to get to practice that. So I don't have my students draw this and practice it while I'm teaching it to them. I teach it to them, we drill the vocabulary, I draw everything for them, and then at the very, very end of class, I have them practice it after we do our tin whistle and everything. So so if you look at number 3, the next one is whole note. You can put it anywhere on there because we haven't learned the position of different notes. What I mean by that is you don't know the names of the notes yet, A, B, C, and D. We're learning that at the end of this lesson, so just put it anywhere on there. These are your lines, and these are your spaces right here. So you can put it anywhere. They just want you to draw an empty, open circle and explain that's a whole note. You do not need to talk about how many beats each notes get. We are learning that, I think, in week 9, the very next week. We'll talk about how many beats each note gets. You don't need to worry about that right now. We just want to know what they look like and what they're called, the name of them. That's the vocabulary. So you can draw an empty one there, maybe even draw one here and just show them that's a whole note. They're going to practice this later. And then number 4, we're going into half note. So you'll see that the terms are stem and half note. So what happens is if you draw another oval like this with a stem, that's a half note. And then you can draw one going like up or down. It doesn't really matter because, yeah, either one. Draw it going up or down. Then number 5 says draw an oval in a line or a space, add a stem, and color the head, and it makes it a quarter note. So explain that to them. Show them that we're drawing another oval. We're coloring that in, and we're adding a stem. That makes it a quarter note. Then we want to draw a half note. So that's, a dotted half note. So that's basically just a half note, a line. If they have questions about that, just explain that we're learning that next week. It just adds another beat to it, but you don't need to explain that to them. Just teach them what it is, that this is a dotted half note. And then we have eighth notes, and you'll see that you have 3 vocabulary words here. We have beam, flag, and eighth note, I think. Yes, flag, beam, and eighth notes. So basically what that means is, like, if you connect 2 eighth notes, you're connecting them with a beam. So what you would do is draw these like this. And when you connect it like that with that beam, that's 2/8 notes. You're connecting both of them. And then if you're just drawing it one separately, you would add the flag to it. So pseudo up like that. We just draw that little tail on it to do the flag. This is all drawn out for you in your foundations guide. So just follow along, practice this because you're going to be drawing it for them and explaining all of this to them. And you can keep your foundations guide close to you in class to keep you on track of where you are. Okay, so then what we're going to be looking at are the clefs. So the vocabulary words for raw number, number 8. I'm sorry, I skipped number 8. Number 8. You can open up your foundations guide, show them Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you guys can point out if you would like. This is a whole note. This is a half note. There's not going to be any eighth notes or anything like that in there. Or you can show them a piece of music if you'd like, or you can just go over it on here again. So then number 9, you're going into clef. So we have clef, treble clef, and bass clef. We don't use a bass clef for tin whistle music, but you can tell them that there is a bass clef that we don't use. We just use the treble clef. So now comes the tricky part. Turn to page 162. Is that right? Yes. 162, and we have to draw a treble clef. This can be a little tricky for people. I mean, I'm not even very good at it, but it does explain to you in your foundations guide how to do that. So let me draw another little staff here. So I draw my rectangle, I draw one in the middle, and then I cut those two in half. It's very classical for them to see you drawing this because they're going to want to practice this. Like I said in the first video, I don't want all of it to be a staff already drawn for them. They're not really learning how to draw that. I want them to see you drawing it, and then they're going to practice drawing it themselves. So for the treble clef, it explains to you, let me just break this down so you're not confused. An easy way to learn how to make a treble clef is to begin by making the letter J from the bottom up. So what they want you to do, so go up like this, okay, kind of like a letter J. And then they want you to, once you've reached the top, at the top of the staff line, begin to make a backwards S and allow the end of the S to curl around the second line of the staff. So what they want you to do is come around and then curl it around like that. And then you have your treble clef. Just make it look a little prettier than mine. This does take practice, so what you would want to do is just keep practicing that like that, and you can get it a little better. And then they will also be practicing it on their week 8 staff right here. They're gonna practice drawing those, and they'll need your help. So then we want to learn about the note names. So I would draw another staff, or maybe you can draw a couple on your board.
Mom, can I open the door and use the package?
Nope, Mommy's doing a video. So we're drawing another staff here. Now we're going to go over the note names, and that so we can teach them when they're looking at it in the music, is that a B, is that an A, and they'll know what note to play, what finger holes to cover. So the way that they've done that is there's a clever little note name rhyme. We call it the treble clef note name rhyme. And we're going to be saying this a lot in class. Review this every week. Review it, get it stuck in their head, and it helps them remember the notes a little easier. So the treble clef note name rhyme is, I'll say it and then I'll break it down and explain it to you. When a note is on a line, every good boy does fine. When a note is on a space, it spells the word face. So that means when they're on a line, so you can, I want you to draw this out for them and show it to them. It's all right here in your foundations guide, so you'll know what it looks like. So that means if it's on a line, B, D, and F, so that means every good boy does fine. E, G, B, D, F. When a note is on a line, so see how all of these notes are drawn on a line? It's every good boy does fine. And that's exactly how it's going to look. So they know that if they see a note here, that's a D. They're going to cover all the finger holes. So, and then when the note is on a space, it spells the word face, F-A-C-E. So that means this is F, A, and C, and E. So F, A, C, and E. Okay? So when the note is on a space, it spells the word face. So just go over that with them, do the treble clef note name rhyme. Then you're pretty much done with vocabulary and theory, and then we get into the 10 whistle practice. So what we're doing this week is just the left hand hand exercise. So they'll just be doing a B, an A, and a G. That's all we're doing this week. So, week 7, for the first week of 10 whistle, we just did the B, just so they could hear how it sounds all together and get to practice their 10 whistle and how hard or how soft to blow. Now, every week, even for my class, every week, once we start and I say, okay, go ahead and pick up your 10 whistles, we're ready to practice, every time I go through the checklist in my head, I tell them, sit up straight, and they all correct and sit up straight. Hold it at a 45-degree angle. So you'll see the kids that are holding it like this, they correct themselves, make sure they correct it, and then I say left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. We go through all of that each week so that I get them in the habit so that when they start picking this thing up, they go right into it. They're sitting up straight, left hand on top, right hand on the bottom, 45-degree angle. They're ready to go. So go over that every week. And then as far as for the left hand exercise, either ask your parents to bring their foundations guide. Not every student needs to have this in front of them. Just you can put it in between a couple of kids. Or for the little ones, you might actually just want to read the notes aloud to them and have them practice it. It's going to be kind of hard for them to see this, but just ask the moms to either bring their foundations guide or make a copy of this page and bring it, or you can make a couple of copies if you like. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just make a couple of copies of this and I just bring it into class and I put a couple on the table. So for the left hand exercise, just start off slow. Just have them all play a B like we did the last week. Have them play an A and then have them play a G. And then go through the left hand exercises of doing like B, A, G, A, B. So have them go through that. We're only doing these notes, but they still need to be sitting up. They can use their thumb and their pinky to kind of rest it right here. You can also rest it in your mouth, obviously. And then just go through the left hand exercise. If they did it really well and you're running, way ahead on time, you can try it again. If they're really, really stressed out and you got through it and you're like, whew, okay, we got through it. They're really stressed out about this. This is really difficult. Just do it the one time and that's fine. Just base it off of your own classroom and how they're doing that day. And then you'll just want to finish up with the 10 whistle packet. Again, I just put 1 week on one page, so you only have to worry about one page that week. And so you'll notice right here at the top, I already have the staff in order to save time. And they're just going to draw a whole note, half note, quarter note, dotted half note, and eighth notes. If you have a class that they understood it and they got it, you may just want to read this out to them and then go around and help them. But really, if they're young or they're struggling or you want to just be able to help them out, go back to your whiteboard, draw the staff out, and then draw each one. Say, okay, let's all draw a whole note, and you show them how to do it, have the class do it. Let's draw a half note, quarter note, and so on and so forth, and have them practice that right here. And then this line is to practice treble clefs. They're going to probably need help with that, so you'll probably have to do it on the board over and over again. You'll get better at it. They'll get better at it. It's going to look really terrible at first because it's a hard thing to draw. But you'll notice that through the weeks we keep practicing drawing that, so they'll get better at it. And then in this box is where they're going to draw everything themselves. They're going to draw the staff. They're going to draw a treble clef, and they can put some notes on there. They don't have to do all of them, but it's just that they can just draw the whole thing themselves. It's so good for them to be able to do that. And then at the bottom, all we're doing for this week to do the treble clef note name rhyme is just filling in the correct notes. So when a note is on a line, every good boy does fine. Have them fill that in. So they'll write E, G, B, D, F. And then when a note is on a space, it spells the word, and then they should put F, A, C, E. So with the little ones, you're going to have to help them do that. With the older ones, they should be able to get it since you guys said it over and over in class, and just check that for them, help them out if they need. And then this is just going to get harder and harder. We're going to start filling it in on the staff. So that's pretty much it for week 8. Next week in week 9, I think we're talking about it gets a little harder because we start talking about rhythm and beats. So we're going to be talking about time signatures. We're going to talk about how many beats a note gets. So that's a little more difficult, but just take it slow. You'll notice that we're just adding in a little more each week, and by the time we're done, they're going to be able to draw a staff, a treble clef. They're going to be able to draw music and all, identify all the notes and know how many beats each note gets. So they'll improve over time. Just remember to keep reviewing. And that's it, guys. That's it for week 8. If you have any questions, please let me know.